Hello, welcome to our next interview. I'm Friederike, Editor-in-Chief of the Cloud Report, and today I'm talking with Robert Lindner from Red Hat. But please introduce yourself. What are you doing at Red Hat?
So first of all, thank you very much, Friederike, for having me. And in regards to what I do at Red Hat, so I'm actually 12 and a half years with Red Hat already, so it's quite a
Oh,
long time. And I'm pretty much responsible for all of the business in Red Hat Germany. So I have the overall responsibility for our business here.
the Red Hat Summit is not so long ago, and Linux has its 30th anniversary this year. That's why I want to talk about with you about Red Hat as an open source company. Red Hat understands itself as an open source company. What means open for you, and why is it important for you?
I mean, I told you that I told the audience that I'm 12 and a half years with Red Hat. And actually the main reason why I joined Red Hat 12 and a half years back was the idea of open source. I was actually not familiar with open source. And during the interview with my former boss, he explained in 2.5 hours why open source is fantastic. And this actually caught my interest. So the idea to work in communities and to build something jointly where you see pains or benefits which you could somehow then translate into technology. So this obviously inspired me, because if there are millions of people working jointly without having an immediate benefit, but besides the fact that they're creating something innovative, so this really caught my interest. And secondly, obviously that Red Hat made a business model on top of this. So this was striking to me as well. It was not very obvious 12 and a half years back to me. And then obviously the open source culture was the third big thing, which really was of interest to me, meaning the more or less democratic approach that is necessary in open source community to work jointly, because you cannot dictate anything to people, but you have to really live the meritocracy approach, so the best idea wins, and where you have the most people that are actually working on the same idea. This obviously is accelerating, and this translates into Red Hat as a company as well. And so therefore we are a bit special. And so those were things that really caught my interest and made me join. When it comes to why open, recently, I think a few years back, we within Red Hat defined our Red Hat why. The Red Hat why is what inspires us to work for Red Hat, and what really drives us. What is the force that really makes us stay or get up every day and bring out the best in us. And the Red Hat why is open unlocks the world's potential, meaning that we firmly believe that open source and sharing knowledge, sharing technology is the right way to drive innovation. So obviously we're not big fans of patents and all those kind of things, because we feel that those are actually restricting innovation. Because if you, for example, patent a certain innovation and then somebody else wants to improve upon this innovation, but then he has like the big entry barrier because there's a patent on it, and then you have to pay license fees and this and then that. And so it really keeps us from innovating more quickly, because if one person has a good idea and the other can really build on top of this and bring in an even better idea and a better and a better, and you work collaboratively on those ideas, this accelerates the innovation, and this is what drives us. By the way, the Red Hat why was not developed by our management team in the ivory tower. It was developed by everybody within Red Hat once again. So this is the way how we define those kind of things. Does this answer your question?
Yes, it's. I'm impressed because Reddit is not a small company, and that it works with such a not a mess, but such many people. It's yeah, it's impressing me.
Yeah, if you're interested, there's actually we're 17,000 people, and
Worldwide.
worldwide, exactly. And a few years back, somebody told us that our previous logo, so the Red Hat Shadowman, was looking like a bit like a dinosaur, or a bit like scary to people, and so therefore we had the urge to change it, obviously. And once again, in other companies, like the marketing gurus would have sat down with certain advisors and built a new logo and said, hey, we're the coolest and best, and this is the new logo, and this is what we will use in going forward. Once again, this was an open decision framework process within Red Hat, meaning everybody within Red Hat was invited to make suggestions, to vote which is the right color, which is the right font, how the logo should look like. So everybody was involved in this, and everybody had a voice. And this is with 17,000 people, takes actually a bit longer, as you could assume. Then again, if you base your decisions upon the involvement of everybody, then the decision is something that everybody's happy with, even though it might not be the perfect decision for each individual, but still everybody had a voice. And so therefore they incorporate those decisions in a much, much better way.
Wow. I'm happy to hear that it's working.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
So back to the summit. The Open Hybrid Cloud was introduced with new functionalities and new integrations. But what is the concept of this Open Hybrid Cloud, and what means open in this context?
Red Hat is a pure open source company, meaning all products, all technologies which our customers receive are open source based. Even if we buy a company for hundreds of millions, which has proprietary code and IP and all those kind of beautiful things, we always take the software and open source it, which is a tremendous effort. But we believe that if our technology is open source, then, as mentioned before, more innovation can take place. Now, if we're looking into the topic of hybrid cloud, so I remember 7-8 years back, we already talked about the hybrid cloud within Red Hat. And so we developed certain technologies in order to drive this, even though many customers were still quite reluctant to actually go into the cloud. Mm-hmm. And we had a vision of a multi-cloud as well, so a hybrid multi-cloud. What we have seen, if we go back a bit into the past, like the past 30 years, there were, as you recall, certain technologies such as HPUX and AIX and all those beautiful Unix servers and mainframes and so on and so on. And they were great technology with a special operating system, special languages, blah, 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 blah. And customers were consuming this because this was what was on the market. So those kind of monolithic closed systems, right? And then Linux came along and had the vision to create freedom of choice. So make you free of deciding what kind of hardware you want to use in order to run which kind of workload. And so this was the idea of Linux, right? And so if you're looking into the clouds of today, they're trying to be some kind of Unixes or lock-in kind of Unixes of the future. I have to be honest, because obviously what you always want to do, unless you're an open source company, you're trying to create a lock-in for your customers. So the deeper they are connected to your services, the lower the chance or the risk that they can exit your services. And this obviously is not good for our customers, because there's a beautiful example. Google once bought a Israeli company which created some kind of maps, and they paid, I think, $1 billion or something for this. Unfortunately, this service was developed on AWS. Obviously, Google is not super fond of the idea to buy a company which is deeply rooted in AWS, because they have their own cloud and they don't want to pay their competitor. It took them years to get out of those strong connections with AWS. And this is what we want our customers not to face in the future. So obviously the drive to the cloud is very strong, and it's rightfully so. There are many workloads which make much, much more sense in the cloud. Then again, how deeply connected do you want to be? So how flexible do you want to be in the future? Do you want to have your new mainframe, your new HPUX and your new Unix systems? Or do you want to have the flexibility to move your workload between the different cloud providers, not only the hyperscalers, not only the big ones, but like the local ones as well onto onto the on-prem as well. And there was an interesting meeting last year. There was a banking forum, and usually everybody's asking, do we have a cloud strategy? Is it like multi-cloud, or is it hybrid? What is it? They brought something up which is even more interesting to me, which is what is your cloud exit strategy? And this is what many people are forgetting about. And this is where Red Hat really helps its customers by providing a platform which makes your workload cloud agnostic. So you can very easily, using our platform, move your applications from one cloud provider to the other, onto on-prem, and so on and so on. So this is one way how we help our customers to stay free, stay open in the end. And this is what we're obviously favoring for our customers, because vendor lock-in is obviously not in our favorite, and not the idea of open source.
It's a very good description of hyperscaler cloud services. This was the hybrid and the open, and now more into the cloud. What is the hybrid, open hybrid, no, hybrid open cloud?
Open hybrid cloud.
Open hybrid cloud offering. What is possible?
Well, as mentioned, so hybrid cloud means that you can run your applications on-prem and partially in the public cloud, which makes sense because you have certain critical data which you would love to keep on-prem, for example, but you want to do certain calculations which are high scaling and have peak workload usage and so on. You want to run them in the cloud. And this is more or less the idea, that you are flexible to use what kind of environment for cost and so on purposes which is available at this time. The idea of open hybrid cloud is to give you the flexibility to really make you free to choose when you want to run which workload where. And so not go just all into the public cloud, and then, as mentioned with the other example by Google before, that you are bound and restricted to using one of their hyperscalers in the future because you cannot exit anymore. But to provide an open environment based on OpenShift, which is one of our products, and then I'm not talking about products anymore, to really move flexibly at any time you want between the on-prem, one cloud and the other. And this gives you the openness based on open source, obviously. So it is part of the open hybrid cloud to use whatever you want to use in the future. Does this answer your question?
Nearly. So when I imagine a hybrid cloud and hybrid multi-cloud, how can I manage these multiple cloud or on-prem and cloud services? Is there one management tool, or how does Red Hat helps in the daily life to use these?
So we have one more or less cloud management platform, which is actually a platform which was originally designed for developers to help them develop container-based applications, which obviously is a new way of doing it. And so this provides you all the development tools and everything that you need in order to really develop much more quickly than before. But on the other hand, you have to run this as well. And this is our container management platform, meaning within this, you can actually define which kind of workloads you're running. And you have the security for those workloads. You have multi-cluster management, which allows you to really decide which parts of your microservices, which parts of your applications are running where at what time. And this is a standardized software platform which we are offering. So this is one of the offerings that we have. And then we are providing for our customers who want to go into the cloud but are a bit reluctant, or who want to use new technologies, but then again, on-prem, they don't have the operational capabilities. We are offering managed services as well, meaning there are quite a lot of services which previously have been only installed or managed or operated by the customers themselves. But now where we're saying, okay, you can use this as a service on whatever cloud you want to. So you just consume it without needing to operate it. So So just to sum it up, so there are many, many services in the cloud based on Red Hat, which you can consume, not only in the cloud, but on-prem as well. So it's just a consummation model. And the other side is this management platform for your applications where you can move them from one cloud or the other onto on-prem and so on.
Okay.
You still look a bit skeptical though.
No, I try to imagine. Well, I'm using cloud just theoretically. I'm not using management tools by myself, so I need to imagine.
Well, you want an example?
If you can, yes, of course.
Let's imagine you know BMW, right? So it's one of our famous German car manufacturers, and they have the connected drive capabilities. So within each of the BMWs, you have your iDrive, you can play with it, you can use certain services from there. You have your maps, etc. pp. And then what they're actually using our platform. So meaning they developed all or a lot of their services for this connected drive that you're using within the car. They developed on OpenShift, this cloud management and orchestration platform. And this allows them to move some parts of the applications which are not super critical into the cloud by just more or less a press of the button, and then saying this runs in the cloud and this runs on-prem, but still this communicates with each other, which is obviously important. And so this is how they are using it. Does this help?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
I think we are done for now.
Yeah, already?
Yeah, I think I have a very good impression of how Reddit is worked. Do you want to add something or give an advice for openness or something?
Well, yeah, maybe a few things. So first of all, we believe that our company culture is unique. So therefore, in all of our big events, such as the summit or the German forum and so on and so on, usually we are including a cultural part because the culture is dear to our heart. And we do believe that there's a not very charismatic saying in English, a fool with a tool is still a fool, meaning that technology by itself is not sufficient in order to drive change. And so therefore, what we're doing is we're, even because we believe that our culture is unique and it drives innovation, we are offering to help our customers adopt this kind of culture and the methodologies which we are using since many, many years in order to drive agile development. And so this is part of our very core offering, which we're giving to our customers. And the second, so therefore I would obviously invite customers to talk with us about this because I believe it's very beneficial. And secondly, I really want to emphasize, don't get locked in by the cloud. It's not a great idea. We have so many customers such as Amadeus. I don't know if everybody's familiar with them, but Amadeus is more or less the core engine of our travel industry in the world. And so bookings via Lufthansa and so on, they're running via Amadeus. And they are obviously expanding worldwide, and they have to be very close to their customers. And so they used our platform, which I mentioned before, in order to be able to move from one cloud to the other, just in order to be closer. And some clouds are not even supported in China, for example. Mm-hmm. So to have this agnostic layer, which allows you to move your applications across wherever you want, do it. It's really helpful in the future because the exit costs otherwise would be humongous. And so my last advice.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Very welcome. It was a pleasure being here.